Brief Captain here. Today, I'll tell you about the cartoon Captain Underpants, the first epic film. Like if you enjoy our videos. George and Harold have been best friends since kindergarten. They met thanks to their irrepressible sense of humor and have been inseparable ever since. They laughed at the name of the planet Uranus. Pronounced in Latin, it sounded like urine. And at that moment they realized that they should be friends. The two even started drawing comics about Captain Underpants, who came to Earth from another planet suspiciously similar to Krypton and flew around the sky in his underpants, destroying evil. George and Harold's main enemy was the school principal Benjamin Krupp. This evil guy in a wig on a flip-flop hated everything cheerful, or at least a little funny. He has caught his friends in pranks more than once, which cost him a lot of nerve cells, but they always managed to get out of it. However, the director does not lose hope of catching George and Harold red-handed. In the meantime, all the information about the pranks of this couple is provided to him by the local snitch and sycophant Melvin Smedley. He is the only one who likes studying in this school, and it is better to say, in the kingdom of despondency and boredom. A school day can be compared to a week of hard work in the mines. If it were not for George and Harold, school days would turn into hopeless hard labor. When the friends arrive for class, Principal Krupp announces that everyone must be at school by 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. There will be an inventors conference there, and it will last until late evening. After class, the friends head to their treehouse, where they come up with crazy stories about Captain Underpants. In the evening they go home, and in the morning they enjoy a sunny Saturday. But then they are told that they have to go to school. The day immediately becomes gloomy and joyless. Hundreds of sullen and depressed kids flock to the school to watch Melvin pontificate for an hour about his boring inventions. Finally, George and Harold decide to spice things up. They sneak on stage while Melvin is demonstrating a smart toilet and break it. The porcelain cyborg starts shooting toilet paper rolls at the audience, delighting the kids. However, Principal Krupp doesn't like it. He calls the pranksters to him and declares that he has evidence of their guilt. Snitch Melvin has installed a camera in a toy turtle, and it has filmed them destroying the toilet. George and Harold have, so to speak, screwed Melvin over and will be punished for it. Krupp is going to separate them into different classes so that they can no longer be friends. This is a terrible punishment because George and Harold fear separation more than anything else. When they get to their treehouse, they already imagine the terrible consequences of their separation. The friends do not want to put up with the punishment, so they decide to steal the turtle from Krupp and destroy the evidence. While George and Harold are watching the principal, the shy school cafeteria maid Edith comes up to him for a nice chat. She is secretly in love with Krupp, and he even seems to reciprocate her feelings. When the principal runs after her to get the casserole Edith has prepared for him, the friends sneak into his office. But first they distract the secretary by calling her and telling her she will win a cash prize if she stays on the line. In the office, George and Harold find a box of their comic books and other things that Krupp took away, including a hypnotizing ring found in breakfast cereal. And while the friends are reminiscing, the director appears. It turns out that he attached the turtle to his leg and always keeps it with him, so it won't be stolen. By breaking into Krupp's office, the friends only made the punishment worse. The director was about to sign the orders for enrollment in different classes, but George stopped him. He put on his ring of omnipotence, forged from plastic in the depths of the fatal Chinese Shandong, and hypnotized the director. Something unusual happened. The ring actually affects Krupp's brain and the surrounding reality. As a result, the director becomes obedient and carries out any order of George at the snap of his fingers. After a little fun, the friends make Krupp believe that he is a Captain Underpants. At that very moment, the director takes off his clothes and wig and jumps out the window to do good left and right. His heroism gets out of control, and his friends have to take him to their treehouse. The captain is sure that these are his assistants, so he willingly obeys the guys. George and Harold figure out that if you splash water on the underpants, he becomes Krupp again, and if you snap your fingers, he turns into a superhero. So that Krupp doesn't notice, they switch these to personalities so quickly that his brain overloads and the director switches off. In this state, he is brought to his home, and this place looks very sad. Friends begin to suspect that Krupp is so angry because he is lonely. That same day, Professor Pupperpops finds an advert for a physics teacher. He realizes that this is the perfect cover for him. The professor has long been hatching evil plans that he can only realize at this school. When Harold and George return to school, Krupp tries to separate them into different classes. But they have a way to fix it. Friends turn him into Captain Underpants and make him pretend to be the director. And so the captain comes to his office and hires Professor Pupperpops for a job, not noticing that he is a psychopathic maniac. During his first lesson, Pupperpops introduces himself as Professor P so that the students have no reason to laugh at him. He shows them the structure of the brain and says that in every person's head there is a thalamus, which is responsible for laughter. And the professor dreams of removing this part of the brain from everyone so that they will forever lose the ability to laugh. During the lesson, Harold and George dared to make the whole class laugh, for which they were sent to the principal. And with his help, they got the professor's personal file and found out his real name. Then they drew comics about Pupperpops and distributed them to the whole school. From that day on, all the students began to make fun of the professor. And then it became clear why he was so evil. Once upon a time, the professor was a talented scientist and even invented the Changer 2000, which can increase and decrease objects. They were even going to give him a prestigious award, but when they found out his last name, everyone started laughing and Pupperpops punished them for it. He got angry and decided to deprive people of laughter. Having familiarized himself with the comics about himself, the professor understands that his plan can be realized. All we need is Melvin. That boring boy doesn't understand jokes. And if we examine his brain, we can create a weapon against Boogaga Thalamus. While Pupperpops was studying Melvin, George and Harold were making the school a pleasant place to be. Captain Underpants, pretending to be the principal, even brought an amusement park into the schoolyard. And at some point, the fun got out of control. The friends tried to stop the Underpants, but they didn't have time. It started to rain, and he turned into a Krupp. Because of the rain, the cliques no longer worked, and the Krupp nevertheless signed orders to transfer them to different classes. Harold and George thought they had lost each other forever. Without their shenanigans, the school had once again become a building where dreams come to die. Meanwhile, Professor Pupperpops had forced Melvin to bring in a toilet robot and had enlarged it. But there wasn't enough energy to move. So they went to the school cafeteria and stole a vat of scraps. This vessel contains super radioactive scrap fuel, which has enormous energy. Having filled the immunités, the professor and Melvin headed to the school. Having connected Melvin to his invention, Pupperpops treated the school children's heads, and their boogatalymuses shrank. The kids could no longer laugh. Only Harold and George escaped this terrible fate. Without saying a word, they asked to go to the toilet to see what kind of monster had come to see them. And they were glad when they met there. The friends realized that they need to disconnect Melvin from Pupperpops' deadly ray. Then everyone will be back to normal, and the evil professor won't be able to manipulate anyone anymore. But they need a distraction. Only Captain Underpants can help here. One snap of his fingers, and Principal Krypton turns into a superhero. While he distracts Pupperpops, George and Harold make their way to the toilet side. But Melvin gives them away. When the villain shows up, they learn that the professor's full name is Pipinder Diarius Pupperpops, and they start laughing again. In retaliation, Pipinder throws the captain into a toilet filled with radioactive liquid from the cafeteria. He then grabs his friends and blasts them with a beam. But it turns out that their brains are almost 100% Boogaga Thalamus, so we have to turn on the beam at full power. The boys feel that their big gatalamuses are shrinking, and only the memory of urine, that is, uranium, makes their part of the brain grow again. Harold and George break Pupperpops' beam using giggles and giggles, and all the kids become normal again, and the robot toilet breaks down. However, Professor Pipinder himself is still in action. He tries to destroy his friends with his Minotaur, but then Captain Underpants appears from the depths of the toilet. The canteen scraps made him super strong and gave him the ability to fly. He almost defeated the professor. Then he pressed the wrong button on the miniator and turned the villain into a giant Pipinder. George and Harold had to use all their wits to defeat the villain. They shrunk him down, and the professor escaped riding a bee. After that, the friends brought the Underpants captain to their treehouse and decided to return him to his Krupp identity forever. They broke the ring of omnipotence, and the Underpants became the director. To make him less evil, Harold and George set him up with Edith. And it worked. While Krupp and Edith were having dinner, A giant toilet was dumped next to their restaurant. Radioactive liquid leaked out and brought other toilets to life. The porcelain army pounced on the people. Only the captain in underpants could save them all. And he appeared when Krupp snapped his fingers to get the bill. But that's not all. The director's secretary waited by the phone the entire movie. And her friends decided to tell her that she had one. In her joy, she dropped the phone and the call was interrupted. At this point, the poor girl's nerves couldn't take it anymore, and she burst into a wild scream. That's all for today. Like and comment if you want more videos like this.